in this video, we're going to look at creating a start scene for our game. So what we have right now is that when we play our game, it just goes straight into the game. And that's okay for testing, but ideally this game should have a start screen with some instructions and a way for the player to get started when they're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new scene to be the start scene. So I'm going to create new scene. It starts out as an empty scene. I'm going to go back to my 2D view. I'm going to use the setup you would use for a GUI or a heads-up display that you can also use within your game, say to display your score. So we want to start out with a custom node called a canvas layer. So I'm going to see if I can spell this right. Canvas layer, there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and create. And I'm going to rename it to start. So that's the name of my scene, is the start scene. And now what we want to do is add some text with the title of our game and a button for starting our game, and also some text and possibly some images for instructions. So I'm going to show you how to do some of that, at least all the basic things. So to add some text, we can go to adding a child node, and we want to look for a label. So I'm going to add a label, and you can see it up there in the corner, and that's where everything will kind of start. And we can change what's in it up here, so you can give your game a name. And well, this is fine. It's not very interesting, so let's go ahead and look at setting this up with a nicer font. So you can see that over here I've already gotten a font right here. You'll want to use either TTF or OTF for your font types, and you can see look in the useful links for where to get some fonts. And so what I'm going to do with my thing here is my title. Let's position that a little bit nicer. Alright. Is I can come over here to custom fonts and hit the little down arrow, and it will say font. And we'll hit the little down arrow again, and we want a new dynamic font. So we'll go ahead and create that, and then click on that. And where it says font here, that is where we can connect our font into the font data, and you can see that that has changed the font there. We can also change the size. This might be a little small, so let's maybe up the size there a bit. Maybe even bigger. Alright, and you can change both the outline color here and also the color of your font if you'd like to down here. So maybe we'll give it a nice green color. Alright. So you'll also want to, for your game, of course, create some instructions, and you do that in a similar way. Add another label or multiple other labels and text to give some instructions for your game. So let's move on to making a start button. So I'm going to go back to my node and add another child, and we're going to look for button. So there it is, button, create. And it, again, will always create it up in the corner here. So I'm going to give my button some text that says start game. Again, you can decide what makes sense. Place it a little bit nicer. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit, give it a little more space there. Again, you can change fonts and colors and all sorts of stuff here. I'll let you look at all that, but let's look at making this font or this start button actually do something. So just to make sure everything's working okay, I just want to test this scene. Now this, if we hit it, will take us to our game. So what we want to look at over here is play scene, or F6, and that will play whichever scene is kind of open. So before we do that, let's go ahead and save. I'm going to save it as start.tscene because it's my start scene, and play the scene, and that all looks okay, but nothing happens when I click the button. So let's look at that next. So I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to need a script. I like to put the scripts again on the parent. You could put it on the button, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on the parent here, because then it could do other things on this screen if I needed other things to happen. So go ahead and add it. Start.gd, that's fine. Go ahead and create it. There's my script. And I'm going to go to my button, and we're going to need to hook up a signal. So this is the same way you hook up signals for other stuff. Go to node. We want the button pressed signal. So I'm going to right click, connect, put it in my on my start, the script on my start, on button pressed, looks good, hit connect, and there it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this stuff here. And it's pretty easy to change scenes. What you need is just kind of remember how to do it, and you can do that by using get tree, get_tree dot change scene. And inside the parentheses, you put the name of the scene that you want to change to inside double quotes. So I want my main scene, which is main.tscene. So you remember capitalization, and you also want the .tscene here. So main.tscn. And let's go ahead and just double check that. I'm going to go ahead and save and test this scene again. All right, so start game now takes me into my game. So you will need to finish this up with some additional scenes and finish up your start scene there. One more thing I want to show you is right now if you hit this, it takes you into the game, and what we'd ideally like is when we start the game, it goes to the start screen. So here's how you can change what scene plays when you hit the play button. You can always use the play scene to play the current scene, say if you have a lot of levels and you only want to play the one you're working on, but for when you eventually export your game, or when I'm playing your game at home, you want to make sure this starts in the right place. So we go over here to Project, Project Settings, look over here for Application and Run, and then right here, the main scene, that's where we load the scene we want at startup. So I'm going to hit the little folder and my start and hit open. Now it says start there, so I'm going to hit close. And now when I hit play, we should start at our start scene. And when I hit start game, we go into our game there. And then yours, of course, should also have an end scene. All right, good luck.